p.m. June 25th, 2017. Um, well, this is part of my dinner. Blackberries, an egg, a few dates, and of course a few birds that I shot this morning. Right. What I'm going to talk to you about is the half-mil dot scopes. This is my previous range card, or this is an ordinary range card that I put together and use. As you can see, at 10 meters, I have 1 mil dot of holdover. This varies among different pellet speeds and different scope heights, but that's pretty much what it would look like in other rifles and pellets and scopes. Fact of the matter is that here I have had about 1.3 mil dots of holdover, which has been rounded up to a straight 1. And here I might have had, or I might very well have had, in fact, something like maybe 0.6 mil dots of holdover, which again has been rounded up to a 1. There has been a little error, well, not error, but actually approximation, a little sacrifice here in order to have a simplified version or rounded up number of mil dots of holdover to be able to be implemented pretty quickly in like 1 second or half a second, where or when you see the bird, and you don't want to mess around with half of a mil dot or 0.2 mil dots and stuff like that. Not only would it not be very easy to implement, but also it would not be very easy to memorize. Now, same story, same gun, same pellet speed, even same scope height, but a half mil dot scope. This is what you get. Instead of having ones here rounded up to 1, this is what you get: 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, which is basically, this 3 is basically the same 1.3 that we had here, which was rounded up to 1, but 1.3 multiplied by 2, because there is we have a half mil dot scope, becomes 2.6, and 2.6 is much more comfortably and with much less error rounded up to 3. By rounding up 2.6 to 3, we have actually 0.2 mil dots of error, because it's a half mil dot scope and not 0.4. So 0.2 mil dots of error compared to 0.3 mil dots of error here. Same story here. We had maybe a 0.6 mil dot, which was rounded up to a 1, but now the 0.6 is translated into 1.2 here, and then rounded up to 1, which is 0.1 and not 0.2, because we have a half mil dot scope, 0.1 of mil dots of error rather than 0.4 mil dots of error here. Same story goes on in all the numbers. The second positive thing about the half mil dot scope is that take this part here, 20 to 30 meters, which is what I have determined to be what I can tell, or pretty much everybody can tell, whether or not, not everybody is able to tell exactly whether the target is at like 26 or 25 meters of distance, but pretty much everybody is able to tell if the target is or is not within the 20 to 30 meters of distance. Hence, I have come up with this way of putting together the range card and memorizing the numbers. If I have something at 20 to 30, if it is at 0 degrees of angle, I have 0 mil dots of hold under. If it is at 30, I have 0.5 hold under. If at 45, I have 1 mil dots of hold under. 60 1.5 and 75 2 mil dots of hold under. This is the ballistics, of course. Now, same story here. When we immigrated to half mil dot scope, instead of having 1.5, 0.51, 1.52, we have a much better, much more straightforward, and much easier to remember 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 mil dots of hold under for targets within 20 to 30 meters of distance at 0, 30, 45, 60, 75 degrees of angle. So these are two of the more pronounced, if you will, benefits of using a half mil dot scope. A half mil dot scope does or would probably restrict you to a much to a less farther distance because of the number of dots that you've got there. Of course, this was a 5 mil dot scope, and this was a 6 mil dot scope. So a 6 mil dot scope, even if it is a half mil dot, it would quite probably compete with an ordinary scope in terms of the distances that you can get with the scope. So all in all I can tell, and no matter how I look at it, a half mil dot scope is way much better than a full mil dot scope. There's more benefits to it. It just probably takes too much time for me to explain, because apparently I don't know it too very well. Because if I did know it very well, I would be able to explain it pretty easily and quickly and simply. I just know that there is a lot more benefits to a half mil dot scope, so that is why I have opted for a half mil dot scope. Thank you for watching.